He was feeding the horses when she pulled up in her white Lexus, windows rolled down like she owned the place. Without even stepping out, she yelled, "This land is HOA regulated now. You need to vacate within 30 days. Grandpa didn't flinch, just wiped his hands on his jeans and looked at her like she was a bug on his windshield. "Ma'am, this is my ranch, bought it in '82, paid cash." She smiled like a vulture. "Doesn't matter. New HOA lines were drawn last month. You didn't attend the vote, so you don't get a say." He glanced at the sign she'd just posted on the gate. Notice of non-compliance. Eviction pending. "You printed this yourself," he said, squinting at the cheap laminate. "And I can have you removed," she snapped. "Trespassing on HOA land is a criminal offense. I was inside the barn when it happened, fixing the busted water pump. Heard every word. My hands were shaking, but I kept quiet. For now." Later that night, Grandpa sat on the porch staring into the dark. He wasn't the kind of man who rattled easy, but his boots didn't move for hours. He just kept whispering, "She's lying. She's bluffing. Ain't no way they can touch this land, right?" I knew better. This wasn't just some pushy neighbor with a clipboard. Karen, that's what everyone called her, even if her name was Susan, had clawed her way into the HOA board last year. Since then, she'd been power tripping through the neighborhood like a queen on a bad TV show, towing cars, fining people, for fence paint, even calling the cops on kids selling lemonade. But going after my grandpa, that was war. I told him we needed to get a lawyer. He shook his head. "Lawyers cost money. I got pride, not gold." He didn't know I'd already made some calls. He didn't know I wasn't just some ranch kid. He didn't know I passed the bar last year. The next morning, Karen was back, this time with two men in matching blue polos and clipboards, probably her hand-picked compliance officers. They stood at the edge of our property like they were waiting for applause, pointing at the barn, the well pump, even Grandpa's old truck like it was all some kind of crime scene. "I'm giving you until Friday," she said, loud enough for the cows to hear. "After that, we begin proceedings. Fines double every day you stay. We've already notified the county." Grandpa looked tired. His hands were cracked and his shirt was still stained with grease from the tractor. But his voice didn't waver. "You don't own this land. I got the deed sitting in my safe. Signed by Judge Morrison himself." Karen rolled her eyes. "That deed is ancient. Zoning changed. You'll be on the wrong side of the law if you're not careful." I stepped forward before Grandpa could speak. "Actually, the zoning change only applies to the east lot line. This property's exempt." She blinked, caught off guard. "And who exactly are you?" "I'm his grandson, and his legal counsel." Her mouth twitched. "You think you can scare me with a law degree?" "No," I said, "but I can bankrupt your HOA before sunset." She smirked and waved her little clipboard. "We'll see about that." As she turned and walked away, I pulled out my phone and opened the folder I had been building for the past week. Forged notices, trespassing reports, audio from neighbors, even drone footage of Karen throwing garbage over the fence onto Grandpa's pasture. But I was saving the best for last. Later that day, a letter came. Certified. From the HOA board. It said Grandpa was in violation of 23 rules, including unauthorized livestock, unapproved fencing, and non-conforming vehicle color. His truck was beige. He laughed when he read it. "Non-conforming color, what does that even mean?" "It means," I said, "they're throwing everything at us. Because they're scared." But that night something changed. We woke up to the smell of smoke. The back fence was burning and Karen was standing just beyond the line, holding a garden hose. Grandpa rushed out barefoot, grabbing a shovel from the porch while I called 911. Flames curled along the dry grass, eating through the fence line like it was paper. Karen sprayed her weak little hose in the air like it meant something, all while screaming, "It was an accident. I was watering my roses. The wind did it." Roses? At midnight? The fire was small, but it left a black scar through the pasture, right up to where Grandpa's horses were fenced. One of them was limping. The others were panicked, eyes wide, stomping. When the fire trucks arrived, Karen was already rehearsing her story to a rookie deputy who looked like he just graduated high school. She's the one who called it in. He told me like that meant something. Yeah? I held up my phone. Here's footage of her lighting a match. I have a security camera on the shed now. Installed it after she posted fake fines last week. His face changed. Karen noticed. That footage is illegal. He can't record me without consent. Private property, I said. And your HOA notices gave me every reason to expect sabotage. Want me to send it to the county too? Or just the sheriff? Karen's face dropped. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. The deputy walked off to make a call. Karen stood there shaking, her hose still dripping. Grandpa sat down on the steps, coughing from the smoke. She ain't done, he said. You can feel it in your bones when a storm's coming. And this woman, she's just getting started. Was right. 2 days later, the HOA froze Grandpa's water access, said he was pulling from a community source without permission, the well he drilled himself 40 years ago. And when I drove into town to pull land records, I found something worse. Karen hadn't just filed complaints, she'd filed a claim, a fake one, on our entire lot, through a shady backdoor process using a loophole in an old HOA charter, one most people didn't even know existed. On paper, they thought they owned us now. They were wrong. I'd already filed a counterclaim, and I knew exactly what their president didn't know. Karen never got the board's full approval. She forged the vote. I had the emails. All I needed was one hearing, one judge, and one chance to flip the whole thing, because I wasn't just here to save Grandpa's land. I was going to take hers. The hearing was set for Monday. Karen must have sensed the pressure, because over the weekend, things escalated fast. First, the mail stopped coming. Then the trash service missed our house 2 days in a row. Finally, on Sunday morning, Grandpa's pickup vanished from the driveway. Stolen? No. Towed. By order of the HOA. There was no ticket, no warning, no citation. Just a grainy photo sent to my email by some faceless compliance bot claiming the vehicle was abandoned and degrading neighborhood aesthetics. Grandpa stared at the empty driveway. His voice cracked for the first time. That truck, I built it with my brother. It's older than you. I nodded, but I didn't tell him what else I had found. Not yet. Karen wasn't just trying to evict us. She was trying to crush us. One humiliation at a time. And I had no doubt she wanted Grandpa to break before court, to scare him into signing something, maybe even walking away altogether. But she didn't understand who she was dealing with. That night, I met with someone who owed me a favor, a former county surveyor who had been quietly let go 2 years ago after testifying against another crooked HOA. He still had access to archival zoning maps. When he showed me the screen, I nearly laughed, out loud. See that line? He said, zooming in on the digital map. That's the original boundary. HOA jurisdiction stops right here. He pointed to a faded line that curved just short of Grandpa's pasture. They never legally annexed the ranch. It was never recorded properly. She faked the extension. That was it. The golden bullet. Monday morning, we walked into the hearing room like we were on trial for murder. Karen sat across from us in a sharp beige suit, flanked by 2 HOA lawyers, who looked fresh out of corporate school. She smiled at us like this was already over, but it wasn't. The judge opened with the land dispute. Karen's side presented first, waving around fake community minutes, a half-baked map, and claims of nuisance behavior. Then they handed over the HOA's charter revision, signed, stamped, but not certified. When it was our turn, I walked up with one thing, a USB. Your Honor, I said, this contains time-stamped footage of the defendant placing an eviction notice on my grandfather's door without authority, initiating a fire on his property, and falsifying a boundary map used to file a land claim. Karen's smile disappeared like a switch flipped. And, I continued, we have emails showing she altered board votes, submitted paperwork without required signatures, and used HOA funds to hire a towing company she owns under a different LLC.